All right, so I am joined by News Channel 9 outdoor contributor Richard Sims. Richard, it is literally freezing outside. I know we're all trying to stay warm inside. We're worried about our pets, keeping them warm, but sometimes we don't think about the wild animals outside and how they're staying warm in these frigid temperatures, especially here down south. If you could start off telling me about how they're not necessarily used to long spouts of cold weather like we're seeing right now.
They're just like us. We're not used to single digit temperatures, especially over a period of multiple days. That's it's a shock to our system. And I'm sure they're no different except for the fact that they're better prepared for it. And I do always think about the wildlife out there. It amazes me, if it's a hard rain or whatever, it just the conditions that they have to endure and thrive in fascinates me. But they're well equipped for it. Their fur is incredible. I use the example of white-tailed deer that a lot of people see them change their coats. They shed just like your pet might shed in the fall. In September, they'll be a real pretty reddish brown. And then you'll see those reddish brown coats go away and they'll turn to a dark gray brown. And those winter coats, the fur is actually hollow. Each individual hair is hollow. So it's just like you putting on a goose down jacket. They can take that hollow hair and fluff it up, and it's just like you putting on a goose down jacket. It's just one of those many miracles of nature that's very fascinating to me.
You mentioned their fur. I know that they also sort of are construction professionals, I'd say, when it comes to their shelters as well. If you could elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, some animals might actually construct their shelters. Others just take advantage of the geography and the terrain. Coyotes, foxes, they will often find an overhanging bluff, where there's kind of a little small cliff, and there may already be some of an opening underneath it that they can just hollow out. And, anybody who's ever been in a cave knows that underground, I don't care if it's summertime and it's 95 degrees outside, or if it's wintertime and it's 15 degrees outside. Underground, deep underground, the temperature always stays 53 degrees, cooler for the summer and a lot warmer in the winter. So if they can get deep enough underground, temperature there is going to be 53 degrees. And groundhogs, of course, they dig their own burrows. They dig deep into the ground. So different animals do it different ways. But yes, if they can get underground, they're fine.
And I know you mentioned those white-tailed deer. Would you say the white-tailed deer up north are more sort of adapted to this colder weather than the white-tailed deer here down south, or is this more of a shock to them?
Absolutely, they are better adapted. Now, there's a scientific name for the principle, and I should remember it. I learned it in my wildlife management college days, but I don't remember the term. Biologists will make fun of me. But up north, here, white-tailed deer typically are going to weigh 100 to 150 pounds. A white-tailed deer in Minnesota is routinely going to weigh 250 or 275 pounds. Their body size is significantly larger in comparison to the surface area. And part of the reason for that is it makes them more efficient and more effective at withstanding cold temperatures. If you increase the body mass, but you don't increase the surface area that much, then it's easier for them to stay warmer. And some might say it's easier for a larger person here to stay warmer than it is a skinny person. Kind of the same principle.
Yeah. And now, my last question for you, is there anything that we can do as mammals to help our fellow wild mammals stay warm, or is the best thing we can do is just let them be, let them do their thing?
Obviously, everybody likes to feed birds, you know, just to be able to look outside the window and see them, you know, and that's, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously, and but you don't want to quit, you know. I mean, you don't want to put out food, you know, yesterday, and you get a bunch of birds coming to it, and then quit or forget to feed them today or tomorrow because they kind of get used to it, you know, over and that's especially true over a long period of time. If animals can adapt, you talk about it all the time when we talk about the bear problems around Gatlinburg. You know, part of the problem with bears there is because they've come used to having a food source, garbage, etc. All wildlife is the same way. They'll get used to an easy, free meal. And so you shouldn't give them those easy, free meals unless you're going to sustain it until they don't need it anymore.
All right. Very good advice, Richard. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.